Hello, and welcome to the Prince Paints. Right. So today, firstly, a couple of things. Right. I don't have enough lenses for what I'm trying to do, which is why you'll notice that the face cam is very zoomed in, and you're probably going to see some real lovely high definition shots of me sweating. But we'll just we'll move past that. We'll move on past. Basically, what I'm going to be doing today is some painting for you all. I'm going to be talking you through what I do. Now, full disclosure, I've been doing this for about 3 weeks myself. So, everything I've learned recently, or it's just stuff that I have sort of figured out from messing around. So this is very much going to be a work in progress. It might work, it might not work, but we'll see how it goes. I've done a couple of things in the past. If I just reach up here and grab something, I'll quickly move this out of shot. So this is the sort of thing that will hopefully end up start working towards something like this when the there we go, focus back. So obviously it takes a lot to get there, so we're going to start off with something nice and simple. Just talk about some basic things that you can do. The figure, as you probably guessed, that we're going to be working on today will be this one eventually. Now, let's get that in focus. If the camera will figure out that I want to focus here. See if it can figure it out. Come on, camera. No, it doesn't. It's not going to do it. Let's throw it off whack and then see if it will. Nope. Doesn't seem to want to pull focus right now. But that's okay. We'll sort that out in a little bit. If not, I might just move to manual for a moment. So that will probably help with this, because it seems to. I bet it wants to focus on this. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. It was the cup. Of course, the cup wants to focus on. Okay, there we go. So this is the model that we'll eventually be working on. To begin with, though, like I said, we're going to start off with something nice and easy. So let's just move this to a side, because what we're going to do first is we're going to have a little look at how we do some scenery. It's nice and simple, nice and straightforward. Also, whilst I'm here as well, I'll be saying that this scenery that I've got here is part of the Dragon Lock terrain. You can see a drainage hole there. This isn't. So this is really good. I've been really impressed with it so far. But I'm not sponsored by any of the miniatures. I printed them myself. I should also say as well. I've got a 3D printer, which is set up in my other room. I've gotten into that over the last few months, and so we're going to start painting now that I'm sort of confident in that, and I've got a fair few models now to start working on. So that's what we're going to be doing. I've got Dragonlock terrain. I've also got that miniature that I showed you before. That is from Titan Forge. Let me just double check, make sure I've not said that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Titan Forge miniatures. Which is one of the Patreons that I belong to that supplies monthly STL files for you to print. I also am part of Loot. I get Loot Studios as well, so you will see that in these videos as well. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, one of the things about the terrain is this is the easiest thing that I've found to do so far. Okay, so all we need to do is pick a couple of colours. Now you can't see my colours because they're off. They're just here. I'm going to pick a couple. Let's go for skeleton bone. Here we got skeleton bone here. I'm going to go for brown, kind of brown. Go bugbear brown. Green as well. Troll skin green. No, not troll skin. It's something. No, actually. No, not Feywild emerald either. Treant green. That'll do. So the thing is with these that I've found is all you've got to do is pick 3, 4 colours. Because what you're going to be aiming to do when we actually get to it, I'll use this to help, is you're just going to pick a couple of blocks to paint. So let's see, one more colour. Obviously I'm going for more natural looking colours. You know, this is you know, presumably part of a dungeon wall. It's probably been there for a couple of 100 years. You want it to look old, you want it to look a bit, you know, messy, a bit fallen apart. So you're going to have a lot of things on there. You're going to have dirt, you're going to have stains and marks, and you're going to have moss probably as well, which is why I've chosen the green. Let's see, one more colour. Let's go with black, because what we can do is we can just darken one of the other colours as well. So, first things first, give them a nice little shake. And then we'll pour some out. So that would be nice and mixed now, hopefully. And all we need is a teeny tiny little splodge. We don't need loads. But there's still a little bit of medium in there, possibly. Can't tell. Let's see. Let's just squirt some out. There we go. So there we go. Got some green on there. Then a skeleton bone. Give this a little shake. Super important. I haven't used the paints for about a week, maybe 2, I don't know. So I'm making sure I'm giving them a proper shake. Proper shake, Reno. To get them going. Because they're obviously they're mixed with like an agent that keeps them from like setting inside the bottle. Put a little bit out onto there, and then a little bit onto here. There we go. We got some skeleton bone. Now we'll probably end up using some of these later as well with the other model, so that's fine if there's a little bit too much. We'll find a way to make use of them, maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? That's the skeleton bone done. Bit of bug bread brown. Give that a bit of a shake up. Shake, shake, shake. Okay. Now this one I think I might actually be running out of already. I've only had the paints about a month. Now this one I think I might actually be running out of already. Well, actually less probably. And there we go. Nice little splodge of brown. And black. Let's give that another little shake. Ooh. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake, shake. Okay. That should be ready. Nice little dollop of brown there. Okay. So we've got our colours. We've got our piece. Time to start painting. Now for this, not going to need a particularly big brush. Just enough to paint them. So that, dip it in the water. Wipe off some of the excess. Dip it in the water. And then we can start. So, really simply, not going to mix it, not going to bother, don't need to. So obviously the key here is whatever you colour on this side, okay, you're going to want on this side do on the other. You know, because obviously that makes sense. If you colour in a brick in, the brick on the other side of the model is also going to want to have that in there. So do a nice little layer on there. Trying to get into those corner bits. Do a nice spread. There we go. And then just swivel it round. So obviously on this side it is this brick here. And then just swivel get a little bit more brown onto your brush. Maybe just scrape off the excess. And then we'll colour in this one on this side as well. Okay. So a little bit more. And let's colour in this brick here. Let's colour in. Okay. Brick here. Maybe get a little bit more on because you see it's a little bit thicker on this side. And it's not quite as thick on this side, so let's just add a little bit extra here. It's only going to help us later on get that fuller look. Yeah, so that's that done. Right, really simple step there. So now, in some water, get rid of the excess. In some water, sort of wipe it on your hand, on a brush, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix some of the green down here with some of the brown. I find that when you add a brown, it tends to go a little bit mossier. You get that sort of slightly mossier effect. Get a little bit more brown in there. There we go. So now we've got a nice sort of mossy colour. We can wipe off some of the excess over here. And now let's pick somewhere else. Let's go for... Now with this, what you're probably aiming to do is go... You don't actually need to hit a particular brick, just an area. Okay? So I'm going to do a brick, but I'm going to be less careful this time when I'm doing this. I'm going to be less careful here. Because moss, unlike the colours of the bricks, which obviously have a conformity to them, like, you know, if there's going to be a brick that's a different colour, it'll likely just be that brick. With the moss, though, I mean, obviously the nature of moss, it's just going to grow wherever it can. So you don't have to be delicate with it. Okay? I'm going to put maybe a little bit over there, and let's have some more moss down here at this bottom bit as well. It's easy to neglect the bottom bits and just focus on the bricks. We'll do that. Have that come up here. A little bit of moss there. And obviously, moss doesn't have to match. You don't have to make it identical on both sides because it's not how moss grows. So let's get a nice big patch up here. And if it sort of starts to fade, that's fine because moss, you know, it's not solid everywhere. It's not like a solid colour. So if you want to have like a few smaller bits, that, you know, we can just stain it, you know, like that. Yeah. So you can see there, both sides. We've got a few areas. Let's just do a little bit up here. Not loads, just nice light dusting up there. Okay. So that is that's that done. Right. So next, let's add some more colours. So here we've got a nice skeleton bone, which I actually think makes a sort of nice creamy brick colour. So just take a tiny little bit on there, and again, just as you did before, pick somewhere and paint the block. Obviously this time, try and keep it just on that block. If you can't, doesn't matter. Alright, it's this is not an, well, I was about to say this is not an exact art. It is, but, you know, don't beat yourself up if you go out of the lines. Mine's not perfect. On there. Hang on. There we go. Mine's not perfect, but it'll do. So again, look at where it is on that side. Find the corresponding piece on the other side. And start painting. Right, so yeah, man, let's get painting, you know. Right, so let's get painting, you know. There we go. And again, like I'm not perfect here. I'm trying to stick between the lines, but it doesn't always work. That doesn't matter. A lot of the tiny bits we've gone over will get fixed up later on. We don't have to worry a great deal about that. Okay? Yeah. Happy with that? Good. Right. I'm just going to move these paints out of shot because I think that the camera is trying to focus on them and not on this. Much better. Much better. So you can see we've got three colours on there so far. Okay, and you might be thinking, well, it just kind of looks like blocky colours and green smudges, but trust me, when it comes to like the dry brushing is what will make all the difference with this. Okay, when we get the dry brushing going, that is when we're going to see a massive difference. So, last colour, black. So, actually, do you know what, I'm not even going to wipe my brush, I'm just going to get a tiny little bit of black. And maybe just a smidge of this cream just take out some of the, well, it's abyssal black, but let's just take some of that out so it's more like a dark grey. So really, again, get off most of your excess, dip the tip, and then let's paint something else. Let's this time go for one that wraps around. Okay, so we're going to go for this edge piece here. Alright. So let's see how this goes. So again, trying my best to stick to the brick, but I'm not going to worry if it goes over. Because a lot of any kind of mistake that you'll make, especially when it comes to scenery, will be fixed in the dry brushing. And we'll get onto that in a little bit. But to begin with, let's get this brick sorted. So hopefully we should have enough paint here. I think we will, which is good. So there we go. Now we've got that brick is now coloured in nice. And I'm actually going to say that we'll leave that there for now. Because next we'll put that to the side somewhere to dry. It's important that between this and the drying we get some other stuff done. So here, right, we've got another piece. This time it's like an archway. So we can do something pretty nice with this. First thing I want to do is get that cream colour on the arch bits. I'm going to try and possibly even paint it a bit bigger. So I'm actually going to put this brush aside. I'm going to keep it separate from the others, so no, that's the one I've been using for the bricks. And I'm going to get one. We'll use that for dry brushing, so we'll also put that to a side so I don't accidentally wet it. And then we'll go for one that's a bit thicker. And then we will get to the painting. So now there was a tiny bit of black that got mixed in there, but that's fine. We just mix that in. It's not really going to make much of a difference in that amount. Let's wipe off some of that if we can, and let's just get. And this time I'm going to be quite liberal. Quite liberal. And how I'm going about this. Now this might not work, you know. I'll have to see once I'm done. What we can do though is I might go over this with a light grey or something afterwards, because I think that would help quite a bit with getting this colour. So let's just get a lot of that excess that I had up and around there. Okay. And we're going to do this inside bit again. You notice here I'm actually being quite, quite liberal with my application. But that is absolutely fine. Be as liberal as you like, friends. Does not matter. The prince insists upon generosity. So, this done. Move it around there. You can see at the top here, don't forget these bits. Gives it that three-dimensional look if you make sure you get all those edges and get the bits between as well. Okay. Again, you'll see I've gone over it. There are some bits where I've gone over it, but really it's not going to matter. We can fix that up in a little bit. Get this on. I want to get this layer on before we do any dry brushing. Right, let's now get this side done. Okay. Again, get this side brushing nicely. Okay. Again, get this side brushing nicely all along here. Trying to get those bits that are hidden away. Again, not worrying loads about making sure it is perfect. It's just about getting this first layer on. Let's get that in there. Got quite a bit of paint there floating around. Let's paint it round here. Oh, I suspect that we may have had spice up here a wild spice, that is, in the chat, which is lovely. Or rather, he's messaged me anyway saying it is, but it, you know, I assume he has clicked the link. If not, click it. Anyway, yeah. So we've done this so far. Right. So that's a decent first layer. Bit messy, doesn't matter. Really, really doesn't matter. Right, let's try and get the camera to focus. Really doesn't matter. Of course, it doesn't want to. Let's try and get the camera to focus. The other one, like this one, likes to focus. This one focuses fine. This one, playing hard to get. Really like push it and get it to. Playing hard to get. There we go. Really like push it and get it to. There we go. And then again, we're gonna wet our brush. Wet our brush. And then dry it off. Swap brushes because we don't need the thick one anymore. And then this one, still kind of wet, but I'm just gonna dip it in the water again just to be sure. There we go, focused again. And then let's add in some more colour. So let's go for some of the moss. And again, like if you make the moss a bit watery or whatever, that can help as well. Because again, you just want it to be faint. You don't need loads. Again, you just need a little touch of green here and there to give that effect of moss. Okay. So when you go on the back here, we're actually running out of that colour, so let's just quickly mix some more up. So a bit of green, bit of brown, a bit more brown. There we go. And again, moss isn't a uniform thing, so you don't have to worry too much about getting it perfect. So some there, get a little bit on here, spreading into the bottom, and maybe a little bit over there as well. Okay, so again, we got some more moss there, moss stains there, and we got this here. Right, so let's douse this off and dry that. Get some brown and let's paint a couple of these. Let's go. See if we can get you to focus again. Better. There we go. See if we can get you to focus again. Again, just painting really quickly. Like I'm not spending loads of time on it. I don't need to. Just need a nice little layer of paint on there. Again, look, we've got 1, 2 from the side. 1, 2 from the side, so we actually can't do the brick on this side, but that's okay, that's fine. That's just how it works. Unless we could say, do we think that this here, it was in focus? Do we think that this brick here correlates to this brick here? Because if we go 1, 2, 3, you know what, I'm going to go say yes. I'm going to say yes. So here is where we can fix up at least a little bit of our smudge where we've gone over, just by putting some brown there. Might mix a little bit with the colour, it's still a bit wet. I'm not overly bothered. It gets a bit too wet. You just get a little bit of kitchen roll or something like that. Stick it in there and just dab it. And that'll help get rid of any of the excess moisture that you've got on trapped in there. Then we can go back, get this brown, and get it on in there. Okay? And get it on now. In there. Okay? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So again, let's go for a black this time. Because we don't need to do a lot of cream because obviously that's the main part of this. So let's get a little bit of that black again. Mix it back on there. A little bit of that cream in there as well, just to give it a slight grey tone. Okay, and here we're going to paint. Let's see. We're going to paint. Let's see. This one. Okay. So again, this one. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. Just get a little bit of paint on there. Nice and simple. Yeah, there we go. Nice and simple. Just get a little bit of paint on there. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Swivel it around, and look, it's this one right here, which I think would actually look nice. It brings it to life. Get a little bit more of that greyish black on there. Again, get a little bit more of that. Not being super duper careful. And put that on there. Okay, there we go. Got that done. Now, I am going to do a corner piece as well, just because the front part looks a bit barren. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go and get some more of this green and just go over some parts. It's a little bit faint. It's supposed to be faint, but I think it might just be a little too faint. Again, onto this side. Again, if it gets watery, probably better. Get a bit of green on there. Probably better. Bit of green up here. And then let's add this. I've not cleaned my brush because if it mixes in with the moss colour, great. It just looks like the colour has been saturated with the moss. Let's do this little corner piece here. Alright. Again, it's a wraparound piece, so make sure you do all 4 exposed sides. I said 3 then. That's not how cuboids work. Apologies again for the random close-up on my eye. If you're just tuning in, because I don't have enough lenses, so this lens is too big. That's why my face is really like pressed up against it. Anyway, there we go. Sorted. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get grey colour. So here, I'm actually going to get the white out. Give it a good shake. Oh, it's making my voice go weird. There we go. Oh, it's making my voice go that white on there. There we go. Give this a little wash. Give it a little dry. Give this a little wash. And then we're good to go again. So this time, we're going to mix white with just a little bit of black. You don't need loads. There we go, look at that. Straight away. Just got a nice grey colour there. It's pretty similar to the one that we are, that is sort of on there. Because obviously, you know, when you're doing your miniature painting, you've got to prime them. So now what I can do is I can go through and correct all of those little mistakes if it would focus. Find the focus point. Okay. So, you can see there's got those edge bits that need doing. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to really delicately. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to really delicately go around and just lightly cover some of those up. Go around, blend it a little bit if you need to. It doesn't really matter that much. Blend it a little bit if you need to. It doesn't really. Hopefully, I might add just a smidge more black here. There we go. Nice, deeper grey colour. There we go. I think deeper grey colour might be good for it. It might need a little bit more time to dry. But it shouldn't matter too much, really. Cover up any bits that you might have accidentally, you know, like gone over, like this bottom bit here. Just put a nice little lacking of paint on there. Again, in this corner, which you can't really see what I'm doing, I realise. It's not best. There we go. You can't really see what I'm doing, I realise. Oh yeah. That in there. And let's get some grey in here. And let's get some grey in here. So one of the reasons I got into the painting was because I'm someone who, I'm quite a high focus individual, right? Spend a lot of time thinking about things, too much usually. And for the last few years, I have been looking for something, a hobby or anything that I can do that helps use that focus. Because usually, like, the go-to is to just do something that's like a shut-off, playing video games, which is what the rest of, you know what my content will be, which is great. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love playing video games. But this I find immensely therapeutic because it's simple, because of the scale, requires a fair amount of focus, and the results are usually pretty rewarding. So I'm going to go around, fix up some of these bits where I was went a bit too ham earlier. There we go. There we go. You can go back around and do that. There we go. You can go back around and do that. There we go. Those done. Those done. And coming down here, correcting this last little bit. And coming down here. Oh, there's a bit on the other side as well that I almost missed. Just down here. Oh, there's a bit on the other side as well that I almost missed. Just down here. There we go. So now we've corrected most of the areas where we went over. There we go. All right. Now we've corrected. The next thing that I'm going to do is we want to get a slightly darker colour on that cream coloured arch. Okay. So what I'm going to do on that cream coloured arch is I might. Do I use the grey? Is I might take your base colour. Okay, so I'm actually going to pour out a little bit more of this. Okay, so I'm actually going to pour out the skeleton bone, that is. Get a new little bit there. The skeleton bone, that is. And what a good tip is, if you want to get a good colour to like blend, overlay or whatever, then go with the base colour mixed with something else. So let's put in teeny little bit of black. Let's put in there. Teeny little bit of black. A bit more black. You can see that's really bringing that tone down. It's almost making it a little bit grey. And that is what we're after. Because then we can just sort of give a little sprinkling of this colour over it. Just subtly alters the tone so that it doesn't look, well, like bone, as the colour would have you believe. Right, so we can do that. Just dulls it down a little bit so that it's more like brick, not like bone. But again, making sure that you're getting all of these little bits. Yeah. Now, I imagine on the camera it's probably not picking up the subtle difference in the tone, but when you're looking at it, you can see it has a slightly more greyish hue now, which is exactly what we are going for. We want it to be more brick-like. That's what we want. Okay. That's what we want. Okay. Now, what I might actually do here is, right, we're going to have to put this one to a side again because it needs to dry now while we do the next step. We can, however, move on to the next step. This is now completely dry, and I can wipe this, and there's now nothing in here. And this is really only one more step that you need to do with something like this. That's the beauty of dry brushing. So, take a colour. I'm going to go with the skeleton bone again because white can be a little bit too stark at times. But I might mix it in with some white anyway, so it's just a few shades brighter. So another bit of skeleton bone down. Then, dollop of white in there. Get that all mixed up. In fact, we're going to need a fair amount more white. Put the white straight in there. And a decent amount as well. And we can always use more of it later. There we go. Nice pale colour there. So, you see this brush is laden with it. So first thing you want to do, wipe most of it off. Right, that's how dry brushing works. Wipe most of it off. Right, that's how dry brushing works. And then you want it so that there's barely anything coming off of it. And then all you got to do, start brushing. So that there's barely anything coming off of it. And then all you got to do, start brushing. So that there's barely anything coming off of it. And then all you got to do, start brushing. The beauty of dry brushing really is as simple as that. So we've gone dry again. Dab it in. Get off most of the colour. And off you go again. Okay. I realise it's not particularly in focus. I will get a better focus shot in a minute once I've finished. And you can really see the transformative effect that just a little bit of dry brushing can have on scenery. It really does make all the difference. A little bit too much there. That's fine. We can just wipe it. Smear it. Get it off. Don't forget the top. Smear it. Get it off. Don't forget the top. And oh, let's see if we can get it to focus. Oh, let's see if we can get it to focus. There we go. There we go. Simple, pretty effective where we're getting pretty decent looking scenery. Whilst we're waiting for that arch to dry because it's not going to be done, we'll quickly do a floor piece. Now you'll see it's got some pegs in it, ready for the wall, which I'll show you how that works once I've done it. But this, again, really simple. So let's put our dry brush to the side. Don't need to wash it as it needs to stay dry. So here is the ground. So we're going to be looking at dark browns. Let's take some of this brown, put it up here. A little bit of black. We get a nice dark brown. Wipe off the excess. Then just wipe off the excess. You know, you can just add a little bit on, and then honestly, with your finger, just like brush bits off. You know, you want it to look dirty, used. You know, so let's get a bit on there, smudge it. A little bit over here. Let's get this one nice and dirty, actually. Okay. And then again, with our green, that let's not even. Might actually need to mix some more green. I think it might have dried. Because I nearly ran out last time, so let's get some more green on there. Big dollop of green. Some brown in there again. Ooh, we got a bit of the cream in there as well. That's fine. There we go. Lovely green colour. Lovely mossy green. Do that again. You're going for the bits in between. You know, where the moss you would think would grow. There we go. Bit on there, and then just for good measure and a little bit of contrast. Not gonna dry it, just that off the excess. And let's add some paler colours in there as well, just a little bit, not loads, just a little bit in the odd spot here and there. Okay, and again, we're going to leave that to dry. We've not really done a great deal to it. You don't need to. You know, it's floor. Sorry, I didn't mean for that to be so, you know, you don't need to, it's floor. I'll put that to a side as well. Let's see how this is doing. Nice. Okay, so we've got our arch, and you can actually see the coloration now. It looks a little bit better. So let's just go right ahead and do some dry brushing on this and see what it looks like. See if it works. See if it doesn't. It might not. It might. I just had this idea about the archway being, you know, a different color. I just had this idea all that excess, and let's start dry brushing. Rid of all that excess, and let's start dry brushing. Okay. Let's again just going over the whole model just with that creamy white. The whole model, wiping off the excess. Creamy white. Putting it in, a bit much there. It's okay, you can wipe it off with a finger if you're quick. Anyway, just be light. You don't have to go super heavy. Sometimes I go a bit too heavy and I get too much on it, but you don't need loads. You just need to cover. Because what you're aiming for is for the paint to catch on the bits where they jut out, they stick out. You know? Right? Again, I think it's because I've got all these paints and stuff here. Let's see if we can move some of this out of the way and see if it doesn't try. I think it's because I've got all these paints and stuff here. Let's see if we can move some of this out of the way and see if it doesn't try. There we go. So you can just see how that white paint just elevates it slightly. So you can just see, it just makes it seem a little bit more alive. Now I might do a little bit more on the back. It's not as heavy there. It doesn't have to be super heavy, but it can be. Okay. Doesn't have to be super heavy. A bit more on there. There we go. And then you'll start to see, actually, we'll wait for that reveal at the end. Let's see how this is doing. Because we didn't actually put a lot of paint on there, and it was very thin what we did put on. So again, you get this. Hopefully it's had enough time to dry. We're about to find out. Take this. Alright. Take this. Alright. Nope. Okay, that needs a bit longer. Needs a bit longer to dry. That's fine though. Just give it a little smudge and we won't notice it. Dry. That's fine though. Just give it a little smudge. In the meantime, there we go. So it is working. So you can see there, still a bit wet. There we go. If we get one of these up nice and close, still a bit wet. You can really see the effect. Like that's the bit that elevates it. It really is. The bit that elevates it is the dry brushing. That's the bit that elevates it. It just makes all those details pop a little bit more. It just makes all those details. There you go. A little bit more. And then there you go. And then there we go. I think this is about dry now. So back to the paint. There we go. Give it a little mix. Give it a little wipe. Get rid of most of it. And let's go to town on this. Give it a little wipe. Get rid of most of it. And let's go to town on this. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just enough for you to get that effect. Alright? Doesn't have to be perfect. And then all you gotta do for you to get that effect. Alright? Pop these in here. Hope that they don't snap. I had some do that the other day, which is annoying. It was after I'd painted them. There we go. And suddenly, you've got a nice little dungeon section there. Painted up nice and easy. Painted up nice and easy. Right, and then that is ready to go. You know, you can just plug that into the other stuff. You got a nice little bit of scenery there to use in your role-playing games. Now, that was the warm-up. Nice 45 minutes doing that. Now for the real challenge. Nice 45 minutes doing this guy. Now for the real challenge. Okay. Nice 45 minutes doing this guy. He is where we're going to be spending the next couple of hours. Okay. So, easiest thing to do. Just gonna try and move some stuff. Actually, let's quickly do a reset. So put that there. I'll move this to the side to finish off drying. Move some of this other stuff around. That's what we want to try and avoid. Is the camera trying to focus on everything that's going on behind it? There we go. This is our guy though again, Titan Forge. That's where this is from. The arms were separate. I printed off the shield and then printed off the hammer, war hammer. Glued them on and glued him onto a base as well. Okay. We'll see how far we get with him. Can't promise we'll get super far, but we'll have to see. Alright. So, first things first, what colours do we want to go for? Now, I'm thinking good old dwarven bronze. Makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's a dwarf, so we want the bronze. This is a metallic paint as well, which basically means it's got glitter in it. We want an orange. Let's go with not rusty orange. So we go with no, let's go with rusty orange. And this paint doesn't actually have a ball bearing in it, so I'll quickly do that as well. It just makes them a lot easier. A lot easier to shake, that is. A lot easier to get the medium mixed up in there. So, take off rust. Ooh, I might not have even used this paint before. Pop out the dropper. Pop in your metal ball bearing. Dropper back on. Lid back on. And now you can give it a good shake. Don't actually need the orange yet. Probably won't for a while either. But it's always good to have it there. Don't actually need the orange yet. Now the question here is, there's going to be a fair amount of detail on it, so it's where do we put the detail? Well, let's get the dwarven bronze going. I'm just going to try and, I have to apologise for this reach over because I had to put my drink off camera so we didn't focus on it. I'm just going to try and, I have to apologise for this reach over because I had to put my drink off camera so we didn't focus on it. Okay. A nice little paint. Now. Ooh. Strange little dried ribbon there. Right. Now, let's get some dwarven bronze down. Now, I think this time I am just going to use the colour straight up. So we'll start with some bronze and we'll go for the armour pieces first, because that's where we're going to probably have smudges and that. So we'll do the armour first and the shield and stuff, and then we'll go from there. So first thing I'm going to tackle, I think, is the helmet. So let's get this into a nice shot here. Let's begin. So let's get this into a nice shot here. Let's begin. Again, this hobby is about focus and patience. And I have at least one of those, abundance. I'm joking, I'm relatively patient. So, I'm just going to do this. Oh, look at there. That's nice. It's real nice. Just my watch telling me to stand up. I won't be standing up for a while. It's real nice. Give it a little wipe. I've got about 4 stage lights on around me, so it is getting warm. Give it a little wipe. I've got about 4 stage lights on around me, so it is getting warm. Paint around there. And then again, underneath. Just dipping the very tip of the paintbrush in the paint. You don't want a lot on at a time. You can get, more than you need on and wipe off the excess, but I like to try and, if I can, just get as much paint as I want on it. You can maximise how much of the paint you're saving. Again, doesn't need to be absolutely perfect because what are we doing the whole helmet anyway? Doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. Let's be a little more liberal with this side. What are we doing the whole helmet anyway? Let's be a little more liberal with this side. There we go. And let's get some more on here. There we go. And let's get some more. Again, sorry for the random close-ups on my face, but I had to use my normal webcam lens as the close-up lens. Is why you can just see the top of my hairline. But, what you're going to do... Okay. You can just see the top of my hairline. But, let's get... What you're going to do... Okay. A little more on. Let's get a little more now on the top of the helmet. Now the detailed bits will go over later in different colours. For now, we just want the general helmet painted. For now, we just want the first thing that you want is your general colours going on. Your main ones, your primary colours, or whatever you want to call them. And again, you just want them on there. And again, don't worry. I'm trying not to get them in the eye holes. You'll find out later, eyes are the thing that I am shocking at. Can't do eyes for the life of me. You'll find out later, eyes are the thing that I am. There we go. You can see we're just getting in that first layer now. There we go. You can see we're just getting in that first layer. Okay. Okay. Do this corner here. Again, it doesn't matter so much because here we've actually got a bigger bit, so let's get a nice dollar and just start doing the big bits of armor going around here, around his arm. Again, not worrying too much about where paint ends up because I can go, except for maybe the hair here. I'm going to keep that clean if I can. The rest though, doesn't matter. Now I might actually, though you can see I've already got, well no you can't because I'm not close enough to the camera. It's moving a bit. No, you can sort of make out that there's like these little tab bits on it. I have got some of the bronze on there, but I'm going to actually try and avoid getting any more on if I can because I'd like to probably do those in gold maybe or silver later on, and so it would be easier if I could leave those plain. Otherwise I'll have to have multiple layers to get that to work. Right, sorry, I just had to reach a section off the camera there. So again, right, sorry, I just had to reach. Got this armor going round. You can see the belt though, so I'm going to stay above the belt. I can. Unfortunately, the camera, in fact, shall we swap to manual here? Unfortunately, the camera, in fact, shall we swap to manual here? There we go. I am just, you can see his hair is here as well. So I'm trying to avoid that, but you can also, like, you can see just tucked away there is some more armor. So get a tiny bit of paint. Really teeny tiny. And see, there is some more armor. So get a tiny bit of paint. Just reach inside there. And see. There we go. And do that. Just reach inside without painting the hair. I've got a little bit on the hair. There we go. But not loads. So I'll take that as a win. Without this side again. On the hair. But not loads. Big patch here. This side again. Not being super duper careful. There's a lot of that I can correct. Super duper careful. There's a lot of that I can correct. Super duper careful. So spread that around. Get some more on. Because the thing is with a metallic paint is it looks really good if it's in a thick enough layer. Otherwise, the grey just comes through and it doesn't look great. It doesn't look particularly great. Now, you'll also might be thinking, whoa, this is pretty bright. This is like a bright bronzy colour. But don't worry, we're going to be using what's called a wash later, and that will transform this piece. But don't worry, we're going to be using what's called a wash later, and that will transform. Now, I realise on this side I've actually coloured in what I think is actually clothing the colour of bronze. That's alright, we will match it up later. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do it again on this side, just do it light though. And then later on, we can fix it. We can add another colour on top of that to make it, blend it, make it look a bit better. And now, we want it even. Even when you make a mistake, even it out, because then when you correct it, you're not going to have to deal with two different colours. Because whatever colour I put on top, there's going to be elements of the colour beneath it that shine through. And if you make a mistake, you only make the mistake on one side, you can end up with a lopsided looking figure. Make sense? So, keep going with this. And, oh yeah, there's this tiny little bit here again. Keep going with this. Oh yeah, there's this tiny little bit here again. I'm just going to do. There we go. So now we've already seen. Oh, we've got on the back of the helmet. There we go. So now we've already seen. Oh, we've got on the back of the helmet again. You're just dolloping the paint on. Doesn't have to be. You're just perfect. But the closer you can get to perfect, doesn't have to be. You're just perfect. But the closer you can get to perfect, doesn't have to be. You're just perfect. But the closer you can get to perfect. There we go. Next, the armbands. The armbands here, you can see he's got an exposed elbow. He's got gauntlets though. The armbands here there can be coloured, no problem. He's got gauntlets though. There can be coloured, no problem. There we go. There you can see. I'm just starting with those gauntlets. There we go. On his arm. You can see. I'm just starting with those gauntlets. On his arm. You can see. I'm just starting with those gauntlets. It's a very therapeutic hobby if you can get into it. Start to feel a bit like Bob Ross after a while. If I just start talking softly, I might even start sounding like him. Well, and then we're just gonna if I just start talking softly, I might even start sounding like him. Just like that. Well, and hopefully, it'll be brought to life. Just like that. No, we're not gonna worry. Hopefully, not gonna worry about any of those bits that we might get wrong. No, we're not gonna worry. Because we can make them work. You can make them work later. Right now, all we need to do is put the brush to the canvas, or in this case, brush to the miniature. Sorry, I will stop that now. Right, so that's one of them done. Now the other one, as you can see, is inside the shield. However, you can still get bits on the inside here. Alright, now this is where it starts to get a bit finicky, because we're now, you can see, colouring the back of the hands. I'm just going to rest a finger on there. And now you can see colouring the back. Try. Rest a finger on there. Get as much of this on there. Get as much of this. So if we can get it done in one layer, it means we don't have to come back to it later. Now we are going to go with a big old load of paint on the shield. Because why not? Now we are going to go. We can really glug it on, because we can just spread that paint around. Because why not? And then if we need to, we can wipe off the excess. But we can also just spread it round. And then if we need to, we can wipe. I now sort of rake down relatively hard. Just spread it round. Suddenly, you know, relatively hard. Suddenly, you know, those top bits of the shield done. And again, like I said, just brushing around that paint and get a nice bronze on there. Now I imagine it's metal all the way through, so we're now going to do the back as well. Bronze on there. Now I imagine it's metal all the way through. Again, we're now going to do the back as well. Again, just colouring in any grey gaps. That's what we want to fill in. All those bits of grey. Again, I've moved it out of shot. Whoops. That's why I keep checking. It's why you'll see my face keep going like this. Because that's where the screen is, that I can see where the lens is focused to. In the future, I'm going to work on the setup. So it's a bit easier and I don't have to keep refocusing, etc, etc. But for now, this is sort of what we're working with. So, just doing what I can. For now, with what I've got. So, just doing what I can. With what I've got. I may also go quiet, as you've noticed. And that is simply me focusing so that I can try and get this done. Okay, now we'll assume that they'll probably be bolted on with leather and iron bolts. And that is a fine detail that we'll worry about later. And for now, it is just about getting that paint actually on there. Yeah. It is just about getting that paint actually on there. Right, so there's the shield done. And you probably think, oh, it's looking a bit one-dimensional, this. And you're right, it will. Because we haven't yet added any other colours. But again, that's okay. Now I'm doing the front of the armour. And make sure you get these bits underneath the arm. Right up to and including belt. Tiny little bit of armour there. And then up here as well in this corner. Just going over there as the paint isn't quite as thick. And as you're working on this, you will start to notice like the areas that, you know, you've maybe missed. So like just underneath here on this lip,
you will start to notice like the areas that
I want some paint
maybe
just on there.
So like just underneath here on this lip,
Just on there. Right, so I'm working on this here. Let's get a nice focus there.
just on there. Right, so I'm working on this here. Let's get a nice focus there.
All right.
Right, so I'm working on this here. Let's get a nice focus there. All right.
Okay, so on the other side now. This one's going to be tricky because it's just sort of push your paintbrush in there. But you cover the bits that you need.
Just sort of push your paintbrush in there.
But you cover the bits that you need. And the good thing about this is that actually, now there is another piece of armoured plating just here.
And the good thing about this is that actually, now there is another piece
Below
of
the
armor
belt.
plating just here.
The good thing about this is that actually, oh, just in between there. Oh, I got the side of the bag. That's all right. Again, it's a minor detail that we can correct further down the line.
Side of the bag
Later on.
That's all right.
In the process.
Minor detail that we can
Again,
further down the line. Side of the bag later.
go
on.
back to
That's
this
all right.
side.
Process. Minor detail that we can again
And get on at bronze.
side. And get on
At bronze.
and get on at bronze.
If anyone has any questions or anything, please feel free to check it out. To ask me something in chat, and I'll answer it as best I can. But I warn you, as I said, I am no professional at this. I only started a few weeks ago. But I really enjoy it. I enjoy it so much that I wanted to share it. I was looking to start streaming anyway, mostly games. But now I've got this nice little stream in there as well.
I was looking to start streaming anyway, mostly games. But now I've got this nice little stream in there as well. I was looking to start streaming anyway, mostly games. But now I've got this nice little stream in there as well.
Now, it's hard to see. I might actually have to do this bit off camera because it's so slight. But just down in like this corner here, there's a tiny little bit that needs to be bronzed. Now, this is the sort of thing where if you really want to, you can probably get away with not doing it because it's pretty much entirely covered up by the shield. But I like to try and get it in there if I can, just for the sake of continuity. So again, look, I've got the most of that armor plating down there. The rest would presumably be sort of tunic undercoat for the armor.
The rest would
That bit
presumably
again.
be sort of tunic.
Oh, and then finally, obviously, the boots and the shoes. Right, we'll do that. Boots and the shoes.
Oh, and then finally, obviously, the boots and the shoes. Right, we'll do that.
The boots and the shoes. 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 Okay. And good thing about the shoes is you don't have to be super duper careful because honestly the bases are like that's a project unto itself. We might have time to do this, but I do like to let the paint set properly on the miniature before I do the bases, so we can maybe do part of the base today. It depends on how far we get before the stream ends. If not, I'll make sure that I finish this model next week. I'll be making this a weekly feature. Each Sunday, 2 till 6, will be a painting stream where you can tune in and join in with what I'm doing. Yeah, what I'm doing, because I ain't got nothing else to do, so I'm just going to film myself painting and send it out to you live.
I ain't got nothing else to do, so I'm just going to film myself painting.
Just a nice liberal coating on the shoes. Okay, just I should also point out, this thing that I've got the miniature in is literally a miniature holder, and that was actually by Loot Studios. You can actually, I don't know if you can see, here you go. Loot. This is 3D printed as well, and honestly, it just uses 2 elastic bands to create tension, and you can use it to grip miniatures of pretty much any size. Like, it's so handy, so useful. I love it. And you can use it to grip miniatures. And that's like a welcoming gift. If you have a 3D printer and you wanted to get started on painting, I suggest Loot Studios. This is again not sponsored, but their starter, their like welcoming package is probably one of the best ones that I've seen, and it includes the principal painting holder, miniature holder that I'm using right now. Comes with different hand sizes. I have got absolutely enormous hands, so I've gone for the bigger hole, but there is a smaller one of this that you can get as well. I have got absolutely enormous hands. Okay. So I've gone for the bigger hole, but there is a smaller one of this that you can get as well. I have got absolutely enormous hands. Okay. So I've gone for the bigger hole, but there is a smaller one of this that you can get as well. Right, I think that is the shoes, the feet, boots mostly done. Right. I think that is the shoes, the feet. Now, mostly done. Right. What do we go for next? Now. Right. What do we go for next? Now. I think, what colour do we go for with that? I think, what colour go for? Let's see. Now, let's leave the armour to dry for a bit, and we'll go for some of the beards. Have a nice ginger beard. I think that looks best on a dwarf, or brown. Basically anything but blonde. No offence, blondes. But you don't often see many blonde dwarves. Basically anything but blonde. No offence, blondes. But you don't often see many blonde dwarves. Basically anything but blonde. Oh no. Oh well. Let's had a bit of a paint explosion then. Oh no. Oh well. That's okay. A waste, mind you, but these things happen. Let's, in fact, let's waste, mind you, but these things happen. Scoop up a load of this. Let's onto here. This will be enough. And we can wipe up the rest after that unfortunate explosion. I think what happened there was a blockage in the tip that I didn't see. And when I squeezed it, there's just enough pressure to make it pop and get paint everywhere. Well, that's alright. These things happen. Just enough pressure to make it pop. I'll just do a quick bit of cleanup and see if I can get the paint off of. Just do a quick bit of cleanup. Here as well. Get the paint off of. Just do a quick bit of cleanup. Here as well. Get the paint off of. There we go. That'll do. Okay. Just going to blow my nose. That'll do. Okay. And let's continue. So, this orange is a little bit stark. So what I'm going to do is maybe mix in a little bit of yellow and maybe some white as well. We'll see. We'll start with the yellow though. Let's go for angelic yellow. Oh, again, I detect a paint without a ball bearing in. So obviously the ball bearings came like separate. And so instead of sitting down and going through all of them like a sensible person, I decided to just wait for when I use that paint, and then once I use that paint, I can add the ball bearing. So you might occasionally see me add one in, you might not. I've just added one in because I've not used the angelic yellow before. So you might occasionally see me add one in. Though admittedly, I've never really thought of yellow as being a particularly angelic colour. Gold, yes, I get that. But
I've never
not yellow.
Yellow as being a particularly
Anyway.
colour. Gold, yes, I get that.
A little bit of yellow there.
Not yellow.
And then what we're going to do, we're going to have a go at mixing that and see what we can come up with here.
A little bit of yellow there.
So let's get that
And then what
a little
we're
bit
going to do,
wet.
we're going to have a go at mixing that.
Wipe off most of that fluid.
With here. A little bit of yellow there.
So let's get that
And then
a
what
little
we're
bit
going to do,
wet.
we're going to have a go at mixing that.
Wipe off most of that fluid. Just the yellow, just bringing out a little bit of the harshness of that orange. Okay, just a little bit more. There we go. Nice colour, nice hue. Wipe off our excess. Dip it in. Back to the model. Okay. This is where it starts to get a little bit more finicky, because here we just want to get the beard. This is where it starts to get a little bit more finicky, because here we just want to get the beard. And the hair, that matter. The beard is the main bit. And the hair, that matter. The beard is the main bit. So again, make sure you get those tufts at the bottom. And that it's encompassing. Again, you know, so it doesn't just cover the front, it goes over all of it. Again, a bit finicky, and is something that you'll probably have to add more than one layer to, as you can see. Or maybe you can't, I don't know. Finicky, and is something that you'll probably have to add more than one layer to. I get it nice and close up here. Or maybe you can't, I don't know. You can see that it is only going on quite faint. Nice and close up here. Okay. So what we're going to do, that it is only going on quite faint. We're going to spend some time on this beard. We're going to spend some time. It's quite thin, a little bit thinner than I wanted it to. So I'm going to apply it a little bit more thick. Quite thin, a little bit thinner than I wanted it to. Onto there. So I'm going to apply it a little bit more thick. Thin, a little bit thinner than I wanted it to. Onto there. I'm going to apply it a little bit more thick. Just remembering this whole time that we can always add more layers later on. This whole time that we can always add more layers later on. Sorry, I've just realised that there's a support still attached to this from the printing process. I'm seeing if I can remove it without damaging the actual model. If not, it is on the back, so it doesn't really matter that much. Nah, I don't think that's coming off. Oh well, that's not a problem. Make it part of it. Nah, I don't think that's coming off. Oh well, that's not a problem. Make it part of it. I don't think that's coming off. Oh well, that's not a problem. Make it part of it. Not super worrying about overlapping here, because I'm going to go over the bronze again in a little bit in those areas where it might get not super worrying about overlapping here, because I'm going to go over the bronze again in a little bit in those areas where it might get not super worrying about overlapping here, because I'm going to go over the bronze again in a little bit in those areas where it might get there we go. There we go. We got most of that in there. We got the orange hair done as well. And what we can do is we can use that dark orange to highlight it later, because that is sort of the where, you know, that orange is the one that's mixed in with the yellow. It'll work well as a highlight color. Okay. So next section then. I'm trying to decide. You know what I can't decide? Okay. You might see right here. There's this little tabard bit. You might see that sticks out of the front. Let's just drain all that water before I drop it on there. Tabard. This bit just here. Should that be bronze? All that water before I drop question. This bit just here. Should that be bronze? Should we go with? Should we go with yes? Question. Should that be bronze? Should we go with? Should we go with yes? Should we go with? Really hard to tell. I'm going to go with bronze though. Really hard to tell. I'm going to go with bronze though. Really hard to tell. Again, not an absolute ton. Again, just some. Not an absolute ton. Again, just some. Just some. Yeah, unfortunately, I've taken it off autofocus, so now I have to manual focus it and try not to forget to do that. When I'm zooming in and out of different bits. Anyway, there we go. When I'm zooming in and out of different bits. Anyway, so next, let's get some. I'm going to say browns. Let's get some browns in there. Let's go for dark brown though. Rigid leather. That seems about right for this. Give it a good shake. Rigid leather. Give it a good shake. Now this one won't focus. There we go. Give it a good shake. Rigid leather. Give it a good shake. Now this one won't focus. There we go. Give it a good shake. All right. All right. Get some of that brown in there. It's pretty dark anyway. Get some of that brown in there. It's pretty dark anyway. What do we use now? Pretty dark anyway. Because we're getting into finer details, I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. Here. We're getting into finer details, I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. And I'm actually going to mix some black into this. I want quite a dark brown here. And I'm actually going to mix some black into this. Oops, I think I've pushed too hard and gone through the wet palette paper. But that's okay. I've got like 100. So now, wet palette paper. That's okay. I've got like 100. Let's do that belt. Okay. So now, wet palette paper. That's okay. I've got like 100. Let's do that belt. Okay. So now, being ever so delicate if I can be. Let's do that belt. Only put paint on the bits that I want to get paint on. Not the end of the world if I do get paint on other bits. Not the end of the world if I do get paint on other bits. Not the end of the world if I do get paint on other bits. And then I'm going to try and get in. And then I'm going to try and get in
There we go. And then I'm also going to do... I'll do it in a lighter brown. I'll do it in a lighter brown. Yeah, let's go for a lighter brown, or in other words, the base colour of this. Let's put a little blob in there. Yeah, let's go for a lighter. Wash this up a little bit again. In other words, the base colour of this. Give it a quick dry. Wash this up a little bit again. Give it a quick dry. Jobs are good. Just going around all these bits. Just going around all these bits like so. And I'm already seeing where the bits are that I'll need to go back over in a little bit. I'm already seeing where the bits are that I'll need to go, and that's absolutely fine. In a little bit. I'm already seeing where the bits are that I'll need to go, and that's absolutely fine. That's something I can definitely do after I've got these main layers on. That's something I can definitely do after I've got these main layers on. And here I am going to put a little bit extra on if I can. Means you don't have to do as many layers later on. Means you don't have to do as many layers. Which does actually make it a lot easier. Ah, I've just spotted another does actually make it a lot easier. Ah, I've just spotted another there we go. There we go. Sorted. There we go. There we go. Sorted. There we go. You'll notice, you might see that I've left the bottom bit darker because I am actually going to do that in a darker hue. I just want to get this first layer on there. Because I am actually going to do that nice and thick. I just want to get this first layer on there. Nice and thick. Nice and thick. There we go. That's looking good. What we'll do is we'll iron stud those little clasp things that you can see, but around them. What we'll do is we'll iron stud. Let's go back to this darker colour. Clasp things that you can see, but around them. What we'll do is we'll iron just for this bit here. Go back to this darker colour. But around them. Just for this bit here. Go back to this darker colour. The bits between the studs. I might need to wait a little longer, to be honest, because I'm concerned that it's going to smudge, so I am going to wait a little longer. It's not the end of the world. I'm concerned that it's going to smudge, so I am going to wait a little longer. Now, it's not the end of the world. Where are we at? Let's have a look. Let's actually, whilst we're waiting for that brown to dry. Oh, I've already seen a bit that we've missed. Whilst we're waiting for that brown to dry. Whilst we're waiting for that brown to dry, let's add some darker tones. Whilst we're waiting for that brown to dry, that beard, and get off a lot of it. Add some darker tones. Whilst waiting for that brown to dry, that beard, and get off a lot of it. Add some darker tones. Making sure. Sorry, I'm going quiet, aren't I? Because I'm really trying to concentrate on getting the tassels underneath his braided beard. Sorry, I'm going quiet, aren't done I? Without smudging too much. Concentrate on getting the tassels, which I'm about done now. Done without smudging too much. So already, you can see that his orange beard is popping off. Queen. Already, you can see that his orange beard is popping off. Queen. Now the back of his hair definitely needs another darker, thicker layer. Now the back of his hair definitely needs another darker, thicker layer. And again, fortunately left that on too long, and what with the paint, the priming paint and stuff, it is that support is fully stuck on there. But I'm not going to worry. And what with the paint, you know, mistakes happen, and it's important that we learn to accept those mistakes, you know, and move past them or incorporate them into it. You know, I come from a background of theatre and drama and singing and acting and dancing, and let me tell you, if you mess up on stage, if you just like shut down and like, oh well, messed up the line, oopsie daisy, everyone is gonna know. Everyone. But if you're the guy who messes up his line and then ad-libs a load of stuff after the fact, then it's going to be different. Right? So, again, those orange highlights, pretty much done. So, again, those orange highlights, just need and get these bits. I'm gonna have to get a weird angle here to get these bits. I'm gonna have to get a weird angle here to. Oh, still haven't got them. Oh, still haven't got them. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So. Right. Okay. So. Next layer of hair is done. Leave that now. Let's go back to that dark brown. Hopefully enough time has passed. Let's go back to that dark brown. Yeah, that's going on a lot easier now. And best bit as well, it's not just immediately smudging with the brown above it. And best bit as well. And that's what we wanted to avoid. That's, you know, we don't want that brown to smudge. And that's what we wanted to avoid. That's, you know, we don't want that brown to smudge. Okay, there we go. It's going on nicely. Okay, there we go. It's going on nicely. Again, just adding on that layer of brown. Again, just adding on that layer of brown. Nice layer of brown. You know what, we haven't got a name for him. Nice layer of brown. Let's see. Let's see. Right, got that between there. Right, got that between there. There we go. We've now got the darker edge on there. And we can cheat a little bit here. We can use this same brown for one of the knapsacks, maybe. Darker edge on there. Let's do it on this one. Also, we can cheat a little bit here. We can use this same brown for one of the nice quick layer on this little pouch. Let's do it on this one. And what I'm going to try and remember is that there's like a clasp on it, because later and we do the iron bits, or the gold bits, we can put a nice little golden clasp on there. Might go gold, to be honest. And we do the iron. Right, make sure that's spread around. Sorted. Now let's go for a lighter gold for this, like what looks like a gold pouch, I think it is. So if I bring him up, we'll have a little look at how the progress so far. What looks like a gold pouch, I think it is. So if I so you can see, we'll have a little look. We've done that in brown. Progress so far. I'm now going to do. So you can see this bit here. We've done that in brown. In the light brown. I'm now going to do, because I think the light brown will look good. We don't want it because presumably that these have been made by different brown will look good. We don't want it. Can't think of what the professional word for it, like leather maker, is it? I think leather maker. Put that there, nice lighter brown. Can't think of what the professional word for it, like leather maker, is it? I think leather maker. Put that there, nice lighter brown. Can't think of what the professional sorted. I think he has. Oh no, it's a rune. So he's got a lot of runes on him as well, and that's fine. I know what we can do as well. We can do. So he's got a lot of runes on the shield clasps. I know what we can do as well. We can do. So he's got a lot of runes on the shield clasps. I know what we can do as well. So actually, I've done that first layer brown, and as I said earlier, make it uniform. I don't particularly like it. I think it's too similar to the bronze, or at least it is right now. Now later on, we will be adding a wash, as I said earlier, which will help with a lot of the colour distinctions, but definitely think this brown needs to be darker. As I said, you make a mistake, or you just do something you don't like, because that wasn't really a mistake, it just doesn't work how I want it to. No need to panic. No need to worry. Just make it uniform, and then you can improve it. You can fix it. You can make modifications to it and make it better. Make it uniform, more your style. In other words, so you can see the leather piece goes right up to his hand. God, I'm regretting turning off the autofocus now. Oh well. God, I'm regretting turning off the autofocus now. Oh well. So what we'll do is we'll make a separate. We need to let that dry first, don't we? So what we can do then is we can start on the weapon. I reckon. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's get in. I reckon. Brown, shall we? Up at the top. And then you'll notice there's actually you probably can't actually notice. There's a wrap around the weapon that he's holding on to make the grip comfortable. There's a wrap. So the wrap, we will go for a more around the weapon, like a different tone, a different colour. Comfortable. There's a wrap. So the wrap, it's really quite tough to see the wrap, like a different tone, even just with my own eyes, let alone what you guys can see on the partially focused camera. Just with my own eyes, let alone what you guys. Let's get that top bit done there. Partially focused camera. Like so, nice and uniform. And then, like so, nice and uniform. Underneath there is where the wrap starts. So what we'll actually, do you know what we'll do is we'll do the brown. Underneath there is where the wrap starts. All over it. What we'll actually, do you know what? And then we'll go over the wrap in a lighter colour, I think. I think that'll probably look best. So again, I'm going for a light coating here because I'm going to be going over it with a lighter colour later anyway. So again, I'm going for a light coating here. I'm not particularly bothered. Because I'm going to be going over it with a light. Let's get that in there. This bit underneath, and the bottom is metal studded anyway, so we only need to go up to here, roughly. This bit underneath, and the bottom is metal studded anyway, so we only need to go up to here, roughly. This bit underneath, and the bottom is metal. So we get as much of that brown painted as we can. So we get as much of that brown not the end of the world if I get it on his skin, because we'll be going on his skin with a sort of ruddy pinkish colour anyway. Not the end of the world in a little bit. So we got the weapon done. Well, sorry, the weapon is far from done, but you know we're getting there. Next, well, sorry, the weapon is far from done, but you know we're getting there. Let's get those iron clasps done, shall we? So for this one, I'm going for a. How are you going to be able to see it? Shall we? It's mithril, yeah, mithril silver. I'll be mixing in some black. Though to be fair, I actually might not. I might just do it silver and then let the wash later on do the rest. Wash will make it darker, and then if I want it to be darker, I can add more wash layers. So let's actually just keep this as it is. Wash will make it darker, and then if I want it to be darker, I can add more wash layers. So let's actually just keep this as it is. Wash will make it darker, and then if I want it to be darker, I can add more wash layers. So let's actually just keep this as it is. And again, just, you know, really carefully. Again, going over really carefully the tabs along the bottom. Now again, you get it over the lines, that's okay, because it's surrounded by darker colours, which are a lot easier to go back over again when you've made a mistake. You got to think this is a learning process. I've been doing this for 3 weeks. I've spent the whole of this stream talking like I know what I'm talking about. I don't. I've been doing this for 3 weeks. You know, watched a few videos. You know, I know what I'm talking about. Had a good go. But actually, a lot of this stuff I've just discovered of my own. Just doing what I think makes sense. Just thinking about it. But actually, you know, when you think about the colours of something, you're thinking about just thinking about it. You know, what colours will go with what. That's why I'm going with like the silver, for example, is there to contrast against the dark colours and the bronze, for that matter. Here comes the tough bit. One of the bits that are down here, which sorry is off. It's out of your view. Unfortunately, requires a delicate hand and is something that hopefully in the future I'll be able to get on camera. It's just that this is particularly tough. But you can already see it's just making it pop, and when it contrasts with that bottom dark brown line that goes along the edge, that's where you're seeing it really, really work. A few other things that we can do then. These, right, the clasps at the top of the armor. A few other things that we can do then. Do them in silver. The clasps at the top of the armor. And the dark wash will dull it down a bit, as it will with all of the armor, for that matter. In doing so, it really will make it pop. Really will make it pop. In doing so, now let's get some of this silver. We got plenty here. Bob it off to the right, and then let's get some black. Mix that in there, right? And you get this nice, darker iron-looking colour. And that's the colour I'm going to go for the runes. You only want a light layer because we want those runes to be visible. Now the runes, let's see if I can get them in focus. There you go. You can see these tiny little runes that he's got on his belt here. Again, just trying to lightly coat those in the dark silver. Just enough that you can see it. Not so much. You can't see anything else. You can see it. Not so much. You can't see anything else. You can see it. Not so much. Again.
Again, just going around the edge here, like so. Now, question is, let's do it in the lighter silver. Now, if you remember, he's got his beard is braided. So the next thing that we're going to do now, if you remember, is get those braids in the light silver. I think I was going to go gold, if you remember me saying earlier. Is get those braids. But actually, I think I was going to go gold, if you remember. Let's do it in silver. Actually, I think I was going to go gold. Let's do it in silver. See what that looks like. See what that looks like. Right, I think that looks pretty good. Just makes it pop a little bit more. Right, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. Just makes it pop a little bit more. Right, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. So, for the weapon, let's use the silver because it'll get dulled down by the let's use the silver by the wash. It'll get dulled down by the I'm going to do the front bit and the back bit in the silver, and the bit in the middle I'm actually going to use maybe a different colour altogether called Dwarven metal. For those of you familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, Dwarven being the Underdark Dwarf variant. Those of you familiar with Dungeons, about to say evil, but of course they don't have to be evil. The Underdark. No one is born evil. About to say evil. You can be raised in an evil culture. But not ultimate. Now, do we go with the Dwarven metal colour, or do we go with the bronze so it has it matches the weapon? Not ultimate. Now, do we go? Might actually go with the bronze. Or do we go with the bronze so it has... Where has the bronze gone? There it is. Give it another little shake up. And I might, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to take a little breaky wakey. And I might, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to take a little breaky wakey. So, on you again. Try off the paintbrush. Get that in focus. Not looking at nothing. Try off the paintbrush. And then get that in focus. Let's paint this. Not looking at nothing. Try off the paintbrush. And then get that in focus. Let's paint this. Not looking at nothing. Let's get it on nice and thick, so that people can really see that, oh wait, it's the same colour as his armour. Because it would make sense so that people can really see that, oh wait, it's the same colour as his armour. Whilst the military are not known for their fashion, that there is at least some colour coordination in their gear. Okay? There is at least some colour coordination just in their gear. Okay? Going around all the bits we need to. Not forgetting going around all the bits. The tiny little corner pieces. Teeny tiny little corner pieces. Here we go. Tiny little corner pieces. Starting. Teeny tiny little corner pieces. Come to life. Starting. Okay, and then we'll do the bottom. Like that as well. My watch, yet again, telling me, hey, you need to stand up, you've been sat down too long. Well, I'm going to get up in about 10 minutes. Chill out, watch. Again, telling me, hey, you need chill out, watch. Too long. Well, I'm going to get up in about 10 minutes. Chill out, again, telling me, hey, you chill out, watch. Chill out, watch. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is go completely left wing. I'm going to go back to the silver. And now what I'm going to do, now we're going to add some details to the shield. Go completely left wing. I'm going to go back to the silver. And now what I'm going to do, now we're going to add some details to the shield. Go completely left wing. I'm going to go back to the silver. Now we're going to add some details to the shield. Just add some highlights. Just add some highlights. Okay. Hey man, just seen. I've been so absorbed by the filming. Hey man, just seen. There's feedback on my voice about 3 or 4 seconds after I speak. Hey man, there's feedback on my voice about 3 or 4 seconds after I speak. I have no idea what's causing that. I don't think I think the only recording source I've got is the microphone. I think the only recording source I've got is the. That's annoying though. Is the microphone going for like 2 hours? That's annoying though. Going for like 2 hours. That might have to be something I have to check afterwards because I have no idea what the problem is. That might have to be something I have to check. I'm just going through and highlighting at the moment the shield. That is what we're doing right now. At the moment, highlighting these bits on the shield just to make it. What we're doing right now. Oh, a little bit. Bits on the shield just to make it. Oh, the sound. I don't know what that could be. Potentially, I haven't actually checked the sound since we were messing around with it the other day. There could be something there. I haven't actually checked. So what does it actually sound like? There could be something there. So what does it actually sound like? Try and get some more of the shield done. So what does it actually sound like? I am gonna break in like. I'm gonna break in like 5 minutes. I am gonna break. 7 actually, 7 minutes, and then I'll give you a quick. I might give you a quick call just so I can sort of try and figure out what it is. And then I'll give you a quick. What's going on? Yeah, let's get that in focus a little bit more, so you can sort of see. Yeah, let's get that in focus a little bit more. There we go. So you can sort of see. Haven't done the skin yet. You can see that's still grey. I also need to do the horn. I have left the horn because the horn obviously is going to be made out of, it's I also need to do the what's the material called? Keratin. Keratin. I kept thinking of something else that definitely wasn't keratin when trying to think of what that was, but that'll be like a bony colour. Anyway, let's continue on with the shield. Then we'll break in a few minutes. We'll go from there. Just got to get a few more details on this shield sorted. We'll break in a few minutes. We'll go from there. Just got to get a few more details on this shield sorted. Break in a few minutes. We'll go from there. Just got to get a few more details on this shield sorted. There we go. Starting to look good. Let's do these bits as well. These runes. Starting to look good. Do the there, and you might be thinking, oh wow, that's a bit garish. Trust me, when we apply the dark wash, which is going to be one of the last steps that we do today, it really will help dull down a lot of these tones and make them look a lot more lifelike, as opposed to the really like popping colours that you're seeing right now. We might even try and do maybe like this bit of the shield in silver as well. Not shield, helmet. Try and do maybe like this bit of the shield in silver as well. Not
shield helmet. Just to get a little bit more of that on there. Just to get a little bit more of that on there. And then, just because I'm feeling a bit risky, shall we do the wings silver as well? Sort of wings on the top of the helmet. Just like this bit here. Feeling a bit risky. Shall we do the wings silver as well? I know, but again, thankfully, with the silver, it doesn't matter if I go over because the bronze is darker, so I can really easily just re-bronze up any bits that are that have gone silver. So I can really easily just now, let's focus on getting that have gone silver. All the bits of that now onto that. All the bits of that now. All the bits of this silver. Okay. All the bits of this silver. Okay. I can't think of what the second microphone input would be. As I've got. I've not actually got the sound coming out of anywhere. Like, as in, I've not got headphones plugged in. I've not got a speaker plugged in. I can't hear anything coming from my computer right now. So, I'm not sure what's capturing it, unless it is possibly one of the video capture devices. I'm not sure what's capturing it, unless it is possibly. I'm registering sound on my desktop, and well, that's it. I'm registering sound. So I'm not 100% sure, and well, that's it. As I say, 3 minutes. I'm gonna break, and then I might try and fix that if I can. That's very annoying. 3 minutes. I'm gonna break, and then I might try and fix that if I can. That's very annoying. 3 minutes. I'm gonna break, and then I might try and fix that if I can. That's very annoying. 3 minutes. Let's see what else. What else needs doing? So we've done the silver bits. Oh, we could be really daring. You know what? Why not? Do we? Do we? Would it? Is it too much? Trying to decide whether to do silver on the lips of the armor, on the lips of the plating. So like, is it too much? Trying to decide whether you can see that the armor has got like on the lips of the plating. So like plates that go around the edge, and I'm considering doing it in silver. I might do because I think it'll look really good if I can get it right. That go around the edge, and I'm considering doing it in silver. I might do because I think it'll look really good if I can get it right. The sound, though, apologies for the sound. Apparently, there's an echo. Might try and fix that when I take a break in a few minutes if I can. Apparently, there's an echo. But I don't really have a way to check with the current setup. So, I don't really have a way to check with the current setup. So, I don't really have a way to check with the current setup. Again, these are just finer details. Now adding. I've just made a mistake. I've just gone over the lines. It doesn't matter so much because again, we can go back over that with another coat of bronze in a little bit. Doesn't matter so much because and hopefully fix that. Back over that with another coat of bronze in a little bit. Doesn't matter so much because and hopefully fix that. In a little bit. So I might. Oh, I'll finish this. So it's done on both sides. So I might. And then I'll take a break. Oh, and I'll only be about 5 minutes. So it's done on both sides. I quickly. And I'll take a break. Try and troubleshoot the sound issues, which I had no idea were playing as. Try and troubleshoot the sound issues. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. It is the it will be the mixer or something like that. Yeah, you're probably right. I'll have a check in a second and see. Right, it is the it will be the mixer or something. What's going on? I'll have a check in a second and see. What's going on? Right, that's that side done. Try and get this side now. Right, that's that side done. This side is a lot harder to do because it's where the hair comes up on the side of the face, just here. A lot harder to do because it's where the hair comes up on the side of the face, just here. And now, because I've done that, I am going to have to do it down here as well, aren't I? Get that silver on there. If I can get this layer done, then we're close. We're actually quite close to the wash, I think. We've just got the skin to do. We've got the horn to do. And we've got to go over and redo any bits that we've gone over. And then we're ready for the wash. We've got to go over and redo any bits that we've gone over. And then we're ready for the wash. We've got to go over and redo any bits that we've gone over. And then we're ready for the wash. Okay. Now, almost done. Now, almost done. So there we go. Now see, we've got the silver highlights on. Various places around it. Shield's looking pretty nice. Just going to top up a few little bits of that. Various places around it. Shield's looking pretty nice. Just going to top up a few little bits of that. And then that will be where I think we maybe take a break. And then that will let it dry for 5-10 minutes and come back to it. So, right. Let's see if I can get the break to work. So let's see. Right. Oh God. Let's see if I can get the break to work. I think if we go to break up. There we go.
now. Can you hear me? Yeah, I am. My mic.
Yeah, but that's, so that's music in E there. That sounds like the one that's
So I split back into the main stream. Nope, wrong one. Paint stream. That's it. Right, let's go through my things. So anyone that's watching currently, just fixing some sound issues. There's an echo. Don't know why. Just figuring it out. So I am still on a break. It's just that I need it to be on live to figure this out. So if I disable desktop audio, is there any reverberation now? It's not reverberation. Any echo now?
yeah. But I think it's your microphone feedback.
But I don't know what it's feeding back
Wait,
from.
Hold up, give me a sec. Say something again.
Hello? There we go. What's that like? Anything now?
No, that sounded perfect.
Okay, now if I re-enable this. Anything now?
No, that sounded perfect.
Okay, is there any echo again? Re-enable this. Anything now?
Is there any echo again? No, that sounded perfect.
Okay, is there any echo again? Re-enable this.
Yes.
There is. Okay, so it's something in the desktop audio.
Yes.
There is. Okay, so it's something in the... So if I just mute that... So if I mute the desktop audio, you can hear me, right? You can hear me fine. I'm coming through on the stream and it's just the one voice.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to wait to double check.
That's fine. So, okay, that's fine. I just need to keep that muted. Right, I'm going to slip back into the break slide. Up on the music. Mute on the mic. hello. Let's get that off. I think that should come off now. Okay. I am back and ready to continue with what we were doing before. Let's pull that focus. And if chat could let me know if that audio problem has gone, that would be great. It should have done, I believe. Let's have a little review of where we're at on the model. Okay, so you can see I've not stuck the best between the lines, but like I said, isn't the end of the world, right? We've still got skin to do. We've still got that horn to do. We've still got the base to do, and maybe some more highlights on the hair as well, and the weapon too. If we really want to go for it, we could even really spice it up and just put maybe a little bit of blood on the top of the hammer there. That might be nice. That might be a nice thing to... Well, not nice, but I imagine, you know, this dwarf, he's pretty heavy clad. He looks like he's in the middle of a fight, so we'll probably do something like that. Right. So, back to it. Where were we up to? We were doing the silvery bits on the shield. Are there any other silvery bits that we need to add? We did it around there. We did it around the bottom. Let's add just some more, I think. Excellent. Sound is fixed. Marvelous. Good. So, right, let's continue then, right? Because I can see just along here, let's get that focused. Just along here, there's some of that bronze still coming through, and we want more of a sharp silver colour. So just add a touch up on the silver around here now that that first layer's had a bit of a chance to dry. The rest of it looks okay. Another thing that we can do, if we take just a tiny little blob of silver. If you remember, we talked about those clasps earlier. Now would be a good time to just boop, put a little boop of silver paint on them. And you probably can't even see it in here. In fact, you can. Just underneath the hammer, you can see that dot, that silver dot. That's where the leather stud is that goes through the clasp for the arm. And you might think, oh, well, no one's even going to see that, but it's just a little detail that, you know, it takes a second to add, but it just really helps with that lifelikeliness. It's not just one solid colour, because it wouldn't be, would it? You know, when you see, like, even jeans or anything like that, you have metal clasps and stud that are used to hold it together or pin it to something. So, you know, you want to try and get those in there if you can. Okay, so let's go over the top of the helmet as well, because I'm not happy with how clear the silver is. I think it needs to be more clear. Let's add another layer on there. So I was a bit spooky when you're sort of painting freehand. Like if I lift my arm, this arm off, so that it's not resting on something, it scares me, fills me with dread, because I know that if one slip, one twitch away from just, well, not ruining, like I said, you make a mistake, you lean into it. But, you know, it's still, if you can avoid it, you're going to avoid it, aren't you? Okay, a little bit more on the helmet. Because again, this is the problem with, like, if this was something that I'd maybe thought about to begin with, then I would have tried to leave the wings of the helmet clear of the bronze, but because the bronze is a darker colour, we have to add a couple of layers to stop that bronze shining on through. It doesn't matter so much if it does. The dark wash should clear a lot of it up, but still. Now, we will leave that to dry, and we'll do the skin. We'll go for the skin next. So for that, we're going to need, let's go with ruddy skin colour. Right, ruddy skin. Give that a good old shake up. There we go. Right. Ooh, that's a nice darker colour. That's a nice dark colour, that. Which I think is, I always imagine dwarves have quite thick leathery skin. So it being a sort of darkish pink actually works quite nicely. Now let's put a little test. Yeah, I think that's all right. So now I'm going to start adding skin colour, some tone to my dwarf boy, my dwarf brethren. So, if you could be any fantasy race, what would it be? What would it be? Tell me. Oh, looks like we just lost one of our lights. I think the power might have run out. Oh, it was the only one that I can't. Oh, no. Nah, never mind. To be fair. That's still fine. Not the end of the world. Didn't have it fully charged when I started, which was my mistake. But, anyway. What race would you be? For me, the allure of the dwarves is good. I love the idea that they live in halls of stone underground and that they are these incredible architects and stonemasons, crafters, and all of that kind of thing. It's really, really fascinating. I also, though, I really like elves, but the problem is, like, often, like, elves are depicted as being, yes, very, like, sort of not heavenly, but, like, very divine, very almost uppity. I mean, if you take a game like Elder Scrolls or whatever, then look at High Elves. That's like the stereotype of a bad elf. You know what I mean? Like High Elves, the plague the lands of Cyrodiil. However, I do like them. Dark Elves, now I love Dark Elves. Again, they've got a bit of a reputation for being bad boys, but don't have to be. One of my favourite things about that Wizards of the Coast is doing at the moment, and this might annoy some people, so apologies in advance. One of my favourite things about Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons is that with the release of Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, is that they've finally stepped back from the whole, drow or dark elves for the uninitiated. Dark elves are automatically, like, they are born evil. They've removed that tag from, like, some races just being evil and said, you know what, actually, you guys can make your own adventures and determine, through actions and choice whether a character is evil. It's not tied to their race because, no one's born evil. The evilness comes through one's actions and deeds. And I really like that. I like that pivot. Where else have we got some skin? It's not actually a great... here. Hiding just here. Just try and remember to keep it in the shot. But see, look, just a little bit of that skin on there. Oh, and the knuckles, of course, at the top. Do those in a bit. I'm just doing this bit at the back here. This hidden bit. Behind the shield. Okay. Good, that's on there. I've actually just spotted there's a little pocket that I've missed with a couple of the colours actually down there. However, I will come back to that later. It'll be one of the last things I do, I reckon, is just doing those last minute checks to make sure that I haven't missed anything major. Right, let's get that knuckle done. This is a nice colour, as I say. I imagine that a lot of dwarves are a bit sort of like rosy cheeked. They've got that sort of, being around furnaces and smelters. And now you could say, there is an argument to say dwarves should be really, really pale because they spend a lot of time away and out of sunlight, literally underground. However, I like to think that they are naturally tanned looking people, because of and a lot of it as well will also, I guess, not come from nature but just come from their way of living, being surrounded by smoke and fire and
labour and whatnot. Ooh, that's a tiny little corner there to try and paint. There we go. Right, hand done. Get this other one done as well. Or rather, go over it. Right, and again, just pops. It brings it to life. You'll notice I've avoided the eye holes completely because they scare me more than anything. So we'll probably do those last. For now, we're going to focus on the easier details to see. So you can straight away see the difference that just adding that bit of flesh tone has added into the arms. You'll notice that I've left this grey band because there's like, I want to say it looks like something like fur or something that is jutting out from underneath it. You know that you might have like an underwrap or something underneath the armor so that it's not just metal on bare skin. It's like there's there's something like that there. So I'm trying to figure out what color to do that in. I might just go with one of the browns that I've already used. But for now, let's just have another look around skin tone areas that might need doing. I've spotted another little bit that needs to be done. Just in there. Sorted. Oh god, I'm gonna have to put a tiny. I'm getting literally. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, look at. Let's see if I can get it into focus. That's probably better off over here. This is a teeny tiny brush. Yeah, teeny tiny brush. I'm actually gonna lick this one as well. Because I trust that more than getting it soaking wet. To get in a teeny tiny dab of the pink inside of the eye holes because I can't avoid them. I need it as a base if I'm even going to attempt to do eyes, so there's not just like a little bit of pocket of grey shining through. But like I said though, this is the hardest bit for me. Well, actually no, this isn't the hardest bit. The hardest bit will be if I attempt to draw eyes in it. So again, doesn't matter if you get a bit too much paint on because again, the bronze is darker than the pink. Non-toxic paint as well, so you can just keep licking the end. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna get blood poisoning or anything like that, which is it's nice to know. There we go. Right, we've got some pink in there now, and that's sorted. Right, where else do we need flesh coloured things? I think that might mostly be it for now. So that leather. We never did those leather straps on the back of the armour that I said I didn't like in that brown. We doubled them up. Let's move back to another brush. Doubled them up in the light brown. We wanted it in the dark brown. That paint's still wet enough. It looks like it might just be. And yeah, I already prefer. It's hard to really see, to be honest. The close up at the end will hopefully show you, but this brown is much better. Dark one, that is, for what it is that I'm trying to achieve. Now the look of that leather. And there. Needs some more still. Not worrying a great deal. I'm going to have to add a small bit of water into this paint, I think. It's a bit too... It started to dry a little bit, so add a teeny tiny splodge of water and it just revitalizes your paints enough for you to keep using them. Get those dark colours in there. And I'm also trying to paint something. It's so difficult. I don't know if I can... There is a bit right in here. It doesn't help that I've lost one of the lights. Let's see if we can bring this light a bit closer to fill in the absence of the other ones. Give me a second.
There we go, that's a bit better. So you can see just underneath the second, not the one that he's gripping onto, but the clasp behind it, there's a patch of grey paint that I'm struggling to reach, and that is what I'm currently trying to paint. You often have to be really delicate with these bits, because you lose some of the control of the brush because you're reaching, and so you can't fully control where you're applicating it. So you just got to try your best to applicate it in a way that, if anyone were to look that closely, which, you know, if we're being realistic, no one's actually going to look that closely, but still, it's nice to have it, you know, conform. Which is why I'm sort of sticking to my guns and trying my best, delicately resting a finger on the armor, the shield for support, and just trying to get that in there. A little bit of colour. There we go. That'll do. We can correct again any mistakes later on, which we certainly will be doing. Okay, so that's the brown done there. So let's chuck in some lighter brown, similar to the bottom of the tunic that he's clearly wearing underneath it. Let's chuck in a little bit of lighter brown on this here. That I was saying about, that was sort of like the I don't know, the furs that he's wearing under the gauntlets to presumably make them more comfortable to wear. So just a little bit of brown. We don't need loads. Just enough to get rid of that grey. Just around the arms. So back to our conversation about fantasy races. So elves, I like elves. Wood elves seem like the most innocent of the elves. They're the ones that, you know, they actually care about their surroundings and whatnot. Not that other elves don't, but you know what I mean. Okay. What else? I know what we needed to do. Earlier we coloured in the tunic bronze and we didn't mean to. So I'm actually now going to chuck in some of the light brown colour, because that's what colour the tunic is. It's the paler brown on there. And then on the edges, we will get in that darker brown again. Just get the brown going on there. And then again on the other side. Yeah, let's see if I can get a better focus. There we go. So you can see just like this area here. Just underneath it. Now over here, it doesn't matter so much. Let's see if we can get a little bit in there. There we go. It doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world if we can't get that in there, because we're going to go over the edges with the darker brown. And actually, you're probably going to need to mix up some more darker brown as we have run out. So splodge of brown in there. And you know what? Let's just go a little bit ham this time. Where's the black gone? There it is. Mix the black straight in there and hope that we can roughly get that same dark brown colour again. Give it a little mix up. There we go. Let's wipe off the excess, pick up some of that darker brown, go back in the edges here. Now we're going to go over the bronze, because it's not actually metal, this bit. Just didn't notice it properly earlier, which is why it's always worth looking closely at your prints and spotting those tiny details that you otherwise would miss. Okay, so dark brown on here. And again,
dark brown just contrasts with the bronze to give it a little bit more life. Again, we'll go over to here. Get that dark brown in there. And already you can see, yeah, it just again brings that undergarb that he's wearing clearly underneath the armor. Just brings it to life a little bit. So anyway, back to colouring it in. It's sort of like not to downscale it, but this is sort of like just colouring in the lines. Just it's 3-dimensional instead of a picture. You know, if you've always fancied yourself, you know, pretty good at that kind of thing, then, or if you just enjoy the challenge of it, I would suggest you go for it. This is a wonderfully therapeutic activity. Again, I know I've already said that, but I'd highly recommend it to anyone that's a bit of a fast thinker and struggles to slow down, because this gives you time to think. When I'm doing it on my own, or either not streaming, I'll sometimes just put on an audiobook and I'll sit and I'll work through it. Now, what I am going to do here is you can see that on the horn there's actually some straps that go around it. So I'm going to now just do those straps before we do the rest of the horn, because again, if we go over in the paler colour, it won't matter because it's a dark colour. So we can just go back over the darkness, it won't matter. There we go. So that's that done. We'll also add some more highlights on the hair as well, maybe later on as well. For now, we're just going to focus on getting as much of this finished up as we can. I know what we need. We need some silver on the bottom of the weapon there. I've just realised I've missed that tip, and that's because I wanted to do it silver so that it contrasts with the bronze that's already on there. So we'll just silver that up. There we go. That's that silver done. Some more silver on there as well. Right. Now let's do the bone bit now. So I actually haven't got much of the bone colour left from earlier, so I am going to get some more. I actually really like the skeleton bone colour. I think it's a really nice colour to use on stuff like this. Let's put another little dollop on there. And this one is, again, I'm going to use the same brush though, because it's small enough. It's not as small as the other one that I used, but it's, you know, it'll do it. It will serve. Will serve. Just going over. See if we can pull the focus a bit more. You can see where I'm adding this skeleton bone. Just a teeny tiny amount. There we go. Getting those teeny little bits in there. And then obviously don't forget to do the inside of it on the sides here. Nice, generous helping of paint. Down there. And there we've got a nice little, easily done bit there. So, what else needs doing before we do the washes? I need to go back over the bronze. That's what I need to do.
And you might also be wondering about the base. We haven't really touched the base yet. The base I tend to do last, after the main part of the model's done. So we'll do that at the end, probably. For now, let's do... Just looking at areas that need another layer. So I think the brown on the weapon, on the handle of the weapon, should I say, just needs another quick lick of brown on there to help dull that grey underneath. Make sure we get it right at the top there where the bronze has bled a little bit. There we go. And there we go. Right, so our bottom as well. Bottom as well, so the bottom bit doesn't look paler than the top bit. Right, okay, so we've got a lot of that done. Let's just give the little money pouch another lick of brown, just in case we've gone over it any bits. Right, I know we need another stud on the pouch. There's a little stud there, isn't there? So we can, again, tiny little dab of silver and just touch it on there, like that. So we've got our little stud. Let's quickly go over some of these silver braids. Again, where the second layer of orange has come over. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to get a red. Now, Dragonfire, let's go Dragonfire red. Mix it in with a little bit of orange and hopefully do one of the last coats. On the hair, on the beard, and on the tiny bit of red, because we don't need loads. Just to have some highlights on there. Mix it in with some orange. And then we can even probably just almost not dry brush it, because the paint is still, the brush is wet. Just add little licks of the red. Same on the back of the hair. Near the top, near those roots. Get in some dark tone. Just to help give that effect. Hair, again, is one of those things where it's not always uniform. Sometimes it's brighter in parts, sometimes it's darker in parts. So let's cover all sides. There we go. We've got some additional colours in there now, which is nice. Just going over the skin a little bit in parts, like on the knuckles here, just on the wrap of the knuckles, where that grey is coming through that we don't want. Here, where I've spilled over with the colour, let's just get that base colour back in there of the pink. Right, again, on the elbows. This is a lot of what it is touching up. You'll do a layer, then you have to go and touch up all the other layers that you did before, or where you've bled with your colours, which is, again, it's fine. You know, you're not going to get it perfect every time. You need to have incredibly steady hands, and whilst my hands are pretty steady, they're not the steadiest. So, you know, it's just part and parcel with it, really, isn't it? Okay, so I think we're coming up close to end point now. So what I'm actually going to do is move back to the bronze and start overlaying the bronze back into the bits where it's maybe bled or I've gone over with the silver. The first port of call is going to be on those wings. If I bring it up, you can see the silver has bled a little bit in the wings of the helmet, but that's not a problem again. To just touch upon with the bronze, and you'll also find as well that it just looks a bit better as well. When you add that extra layer on, it becomes like a fuller colour again. Let's just add in bits of bronze again. Just bringing some of that life back in where you have maybe not stayed within the lines. That's all right. It's a process. One with mistakes and learning curves and all that jazz. But it's very rewarding, you know, when you get to the end of it and you see the finished product and you're like, wow, yeah, I did that. That's totally sick, man. Can't wait to have that at one of my games. You know, and then your jobs are good enough after that. And you know, you can be the belle of the ball at your sessions, whether it's D&D, Warhammer, whatever, because you'll have all of these really cool paint jobs that you've done. You can like, whoa, where did you buy those? Like, hey, did buy them. Painted it myself. Hoorah. Which is pretty nice. Now, I know I keep drifting away from it and going back to it, but just to go back to that the conversation on which fantasy race would you be? Didn't even mention halflings, hobbits. Well, hobbits are owned by the Tolkien estate, so I'll just call them halflings. But halflings, cool. Love the idea of them. Great in Lord of the Rings, but not like the most interesting. I love the look aspect of them, and that they're basically just a bunch of Yorkshiremen, effectively. At least according to Tolkien's description, but then again, the Shire was based entirely on Yorkshire, you know, Yorkshire. But still, right, let's get the top of that shield done. Maybe a little bit more just on the back. Let's come off a little loose. Some more on the wrist here. Making sure that we're just filling in any bits that we're missing. Yeah, that's that. The hair. Had some orange bleed from the hair onto the armor, and again, that's where this is where you've got to go with like this is the fine tooth comb moment where you're looking around, like the shoes definitely need a little bit more adding to them. I noticed earlier, particularly at the top here, there are some grey patches. But again, no issue. Just quickly, I mean, and again, you don't have to be careful with the shoes. We're not going to do anything fancy with those. We could, but I'm not going to. As we've got about an hour, and I would like to try, if we can, and get this model finished up. I see a grey spot on the inside here. There we go. There we go. Another one as well on the other side. Get inside there.
Nicely done. Tiny little bit more on here. And maybe a little bit more on this weapon as well. Okay. Okay, it's starting to look good. Not there yet. Nearly. Silver now. Go back over the bits of silver, as we've added some dark colours since then, I believe. Let's get this faint silver, sorry. Go back over the clasps at the bottom. I can see not all of them need a touch up, just some of them. Where you've maybe had some of those browns smudge a little bit. Okay. And the clasps on the armour at the top, I can see there's some bronze that has run into them. And along those edges. Let's just go around with another lick of silver to make sure they're done. And then what we'll do is we'll do the shield, and then we'll maybe look at the base, and we'll do the base, and then we'll do the wash. So the finish line is in sight though. I would say it has been pretty successful so far anyway. I've not had any major blunders or anything, which is always nice. So okay, let's see. What else do we need? Yes, the shield. The shield, let's get these highlights on the shield redone, because I can already see the silvers come off of there. And there. Alright. Shield done. We do need to add, I see that the skin colour is actually blurred. You can get this in bits that are hard to reach. You just end up with like a load of colours that sort of go, like, they just smudge together because it's in the bits that you can't fully reach. So I am just going to come back round with a bit of bronze on the inner bit in here, and just inside where he's clasping the shield, because there's been a lot of different colours run there, and really it should just be bronze. I can see there's bits of brown, there's bits of skin tone, all in there. So just go over it with that again, and that should do that nicely. Oh goodness, I know what we need to do. Oh, God, this is going to be a tough bit. The front bit that we bronzed earlier, that we weren't sure whether to bronze or not, needs to have the silver edge as well. This to show you which bit I mean, I'm talking about that front, like, loin clothy looking bit. So the next challenge is going to be to try and silver the edge of that. Let's load our paint. Last one there, other side, which is definitely going to be the tricky side. Sorry, this is probably a bad angle for you guys, but unfortunately I can't always get the perfect angle. That, plus this is the first time I've ever done a paint stream, so, you know, give me some slack. Right, okay, that's actually worked pretty well. Just need to top up with maybe a tiny little bit of bronze where it's run on one side. So I get the bronze. Just in there, nice like that. Nice like that. So, right, shield, done. Weapon, bit of silver. these corner bits where it has gone over. Done. Helmet. Let's do a little teeny tiny bit just here. There we go. Done. Bottom of the weapon. Done silver. Done. Tabs done. Studs done. Now I am. You might. This bit is sort of like the bit where I just keep spotting tiny little bits where I'm like, oh, that could just do with a tiny little touch up. So there's nothing massively interesting happening right now, but I can assure you that actually this is going to all be worth it in the end. Doing all this fine tuning now. Okay. Now, as for the floor, there's, I mean, the base, sorry, it's like concrete, so there's not a massive amount that we can really do with that. Just etchings of concrete and whatnot, so I might just get like the grey that we actually used earlier. I'm actually going to wet it again. But yeah, that grey that we used earlier for the set pieces, actually. Let's give it a bit of life again with some water and just add some darker, just a little bit of darker tone to it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure what I can do with the bronze on that because I have messed that up a little bit. Let's see if I can actually dab that dry a little bit again. And I wonder if we do this. Just sort of move around. Going around the base. Just giving some of it a bit of a brushing of this colour. Again, it's nothing like huge. I'm not particularly going for conformity. I'm just going for getting like a loose colouring on the base. And then hopefully if we wash the base as well, we'll get a decent enough effect on there. Okay. So, before we add the wash, let's do the easy bit, the easiest bit, which requires the black, Bissell black. There we go. Which is the base colouring. You can use a thicker brush for this, because it doesn't need to be super perfect. Just conform, it just needs to conform. And here we're actually going to pop the miniature out and hold on to it because it's hopefully dry enough now that that shouldn't matter too much. And then wet your brush, rinse it off, get that black, and just start painting like the bottom, like the base. And what you want to be doing is aiming for a colour that is, you know, it conforms all around, same colour, same depth of colour across it, which with black is really easy to do. And then the bit you have to kind of be careful on is going around the edge. And sorry again, this bit's a bit harder to do on the camera, simply because I like to be nice and close with it so that I don't sort of mess up. Let's keep moving around. And also, something I didn't do, but I'm pretty certain it was the case, is make sure your hands are not covered in still wet paint. Because as you can see, I'm holding on to it, and if my hands are wet with wet paint, then that wet paint is going to transfer onto the model. And we don't want that, do we? Again. Nice. Unformed colour. All around the edge. Like so. Give that a minute to dry. I probably need to hold it just to let that black paint start to set before we start to look at adding the washes. But black, you can do any colour. I like black. It just looks neat. You know. Let's put that there. And we can probably put it in now. Some of the paint might come off, but you can touch up the black. That's really not a problem. Like, you don't need to be worrying yourself about that. Around the edges. Okay. So, our miniature is nearly there. So next thing that we need is, I think, a shadow wash. Right, so shadow wash, just like, it's almost like black water. And you'll see what this does in a minute. Or actually, I might go with brown. I don't want the super harshness of the black. Brown wash. And as I've said before, this is very much like a liquid, and we can use a slightly thicker brush here because it's very much, and you might be like, oh my god, what is he doing? As I'm just going to chuck this pretty much all over it. Alright, and paint it around like so. Not being super careful. I'm going to be covering the all of the bits that aren't flesh with this. Because believe me when I say, it will make it look awesome. It will really make a lot of the details that might have been lost in the brushing like pop back. Because now you'll start to see those contrasts. So you can see, you might be like, oh my god, what's he doing? But trust me, it is all for good. It is all for good. Just getting that in literally everywhere. And you know what? We'll even chuck it on the hair as well. Because again, it should sink into all those like crevices and bits of armor studding and whatnot that are otherwise like hard to pick up and see. The dark color will sink in, the wash will sink in, and once it's sunk in, it will dry and then highlight those areas, those sections that have up until now been missed. Let's do the helmet now. And you might already be able to see that it's starting to make just a lot of those armor bits pop. I'm going to need some more of the brown wash. Quite liberal with it, because it does just make your model look 1,000 times better. It really is like the golden step for me. And after this, you can call it quits. You can just be like, yeah, okay, I've finished this model and leave it there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can also put highlights in. Now, depending on the timing and whether or not it dries, we might be able to get some highlights in, but we might have to leave that there for this week. We will see. Just getting this on now. Nicely. And actually, do you know what? Let's put it on the flesh as well. I do have a flesh wash, but dwarves are kind of dirty, so brown wash would probably be alright for them. Again, just making sure you get that nice spread everywhere. Wherever you can. Nearly forgot the other shoe. Get it on the hair. The back. Making sure you're giving it a good brush around when you do. And then just dab, really. Get some kitchen roll or something and just dab it. Careful you don't catch it on anything though and end up ruining your model. Just dab. Dab off that excess. Honestly, the stuff's like magic. You can already see, if I focus that in now, the effect that that's having. It's still wet, obviously, but you can really see, like, in particular, like, look at the top bits of the armor. Okay, you can see the individual plating where the liquid sank into the crevices. And it just brings out all of those details in it. Like in the weapon as well, there's like a sigil just at the top there. Again, that dark wash has sunk into there and has highlighted it. It will also sink into all the parts of like in between the fingers, which gives the fingers definition, which you can see as well. It makes the hair stand out. It just makes everything pop, really. Now it has sunk into the eyes, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We could just say, oh, well, they're cast in shadow because it's, you know, a metal helmet. But we'll see what we can do. How about soaking some of that up? There we go. Now, just for conformity, let's now put a little bit in this eye as well. And then lastly, let's get some wash on the base. Again, just to help with those definitions. You don't need, well, actually, I would say you can just be liberal with the wash. Like I was going to say, you don't need loads, but actually you can put loads on. It's fine. It will just make the end product look better. Okay, so now we've got to wait for it to dry, really. Unfortunately, I can't skip past that. But that is our model basically done. Let's see if we can get some zoomed in look at that. Yeah. Turn the light around so you can see. We've got still drying, might add. We've got one cool looking dwarf dude who, like I said, we could leave this now and it'll be finished. But one thing that you can do, I might do later on, is go back to it after the wash is dry, but this is going to take a good half an hour at least for that wash to dry, and add on some last little highlights, maybe some like blemishes in the armor, some more highlights in the hair, stuff like that. But that is pretty much it. Unfortunately, because it's wet, I can't now add any more
fine details to it. What I can do, so that we can see what we've achieved today, is pop that out. Just go over some of the black paint where it's come off because I put it in the vise too early, but that's fine. Trying to only touch it minimally at this point because it's mostly wet. You want to avoid that. But just for the sake of seeing what that's like, hopefully the bottom's not wet. I don't think it is. We can lift up our little scene, what we've done today, and we can see how that all works. Now that's all dried up, we have got one cool looking dwarf guy there. Okay. Still wet. Hopefully the paint isn't going to transfer onto the background, but there we go. I'd say that was a pretty successful stream. Because now, as you can see, sorry, and again, I'm looking at the screen that I can see it on to make sure I'm actually holding it in the right place in front of the camera, but you know, that's what we've done in what? 3 and a bit hours? I would say that was pretty good. So, we'll pop him off there, back onto there to let him dry up a bit. And we can probably call it there, I think. So, thanks for tuning in. I hope that you have enjoyed watching me paint for a few hours. I found it very therapeutic. I hope you have as well. I hope I haven't been too condescending in my descriptions of what's going on. But yeah, thank you for joining, and I'm hoping to do this weekly. So on a Sunday, other days, I've got Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll be streaming 6 till 9. That'll be gaming generally. I may even have one of my pals joining me as well in some of those. He'll be streaming himself. There'll be more of that later. Otherwise, it'll be Sunday, 2 till 6 p.m. Slightly longer for the paint stream as they take a bit longer to do. But that's it, guys. Thank you. So, I think I will leave you on that. Thank you very much, guys. Just going to get to my mouse. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully see you next time. Let me know what you think. Goodbye. See ya. Peace.